Hello, welcome back. It is April 2019. I'm not deliberately doing these as one instalment a month, but that seems to be how it's working out. We're pretty much carrying on from where we left off in terms of the layout. If you remember that last time we finished the station section and we're now going to start working on the townscape. Now, as much as I do enjoy coming up with things as I build, in this occasion I thought it would be better to lay out where I wanted everything to go so that I could then have a good blueprint of what to work from. Now for this I've used graph paper, and as you can see you can use one space or one square per stud. It's a bit bigger than the A4 would allow me to have, but I've managed to work out where I'm putting most of my roads. So now that I have a plan in place, I can start looking at various sections of the layout. Now I've already made a small start with this corner. As you can see, there is a section of pavement here already, and all I have left now is to do the road. Now I have made an awful lot of bricklink orders in order to pave this road because it is going to be done primarily with 1x2 tiles. I'm pretty sure there is enough since I made a lot of calculations, so all that really leaves is for me to get on with it. So that's it, that is one of 4 that I have yet to do. I'm going to get cracking on those because there is no way that you're going to want to sit through 5 time lapses of me just putting tiles on bricks. So once that is done, I will restart the cameras and give you an update on where things are for the layout. So it was rather tedious for the most part, but we have now got a fully tiled and surfaced street. Now also in this far corner you will see that I have made a sort of park area. I'm going to call it a memorial garden because it's a bit small for a full-on park. As you can see, there's space for a war memorial that I've made. There's a couple of benches. That's where there will be a rather large tree. Got a nice pond there and a statue. None of this is going to be hugely spectacular, but it is a bit of variation from, you know, the regular cityscape, so it should look nice. As you can see here, there is room for a pub that is meant to straddle these 2 bases here, and then the street shops will line the far corner from this section here, above the station building and into the corner as well. So I'm just going to get on over the next couple of days building these shops and a pub. It's hard for me to time-lapse these because they're obviously quite, they take quite a while. They obviously tend to straddle days, and I have to make bricklink orders when I run short of parts. So I'll get back to you once I've finished the buildings. I will showcase them, and with any luck they will hopefully look really impressive on the layout. So I've been putting a bit of time into getting the first of the shops done so I can then use that as a template. Here it is. It's quite simple. The colours are quite muted. I've kind of made this into a shop of curiosities, as it were. So you've got a very simple terraced house. Look, the top half is really meant to be quite similar. That will run all the way along the 4 shops that I'm going to do. And if you look through, you can just see the makings of a flat. You've got a sofa there and a little kitchen. So there's quite a lot of detail you can pack into just four bricks of width, especially just inside. It's only 2 bricks of width. The shop is the same. It's slightly wider because of the added little detail on the sides. Obviously, because this is the end, you've got detail in the brick wall here on the other end, because it's just plugging into the next one. It's not quite as neat. But if you look inside, you can see all these different sort of objects that I pulled out of the box of curiosities that I had. So you've got a little bowl and camera, sort of second-hand goods that you'll find in a lot of touristy high streets. The shops that I find most interesting, and also I find other people find most interesting, are the sort of second-hand or sort of craft themed sort of I call them curiosity shops. They sell cards or themed goods or souvenirs. I will make 3 more of these. They will all sort of follow the same template, but the shops themselves should be quite different, and it should look very nice. And I'll get back to you when I've done more of them. Right, so I know that I'm skipping forward quite a lot in this building process, but I am just trying to make it as easy to digest as possible. But now we have a full set of shop fronts, which is really exciting. But one thing I realised I missed out when I was talking about the first prototype shop was that there are a series of Technic brick pieces in the back of each shop. And the reason that is there is so that I can put lights in. So right here I have a string of lights. They are just large enough to be poked through the holes of these Technic bricks. And once they are in, they are able to light up the inside and just show off a bit more of the detail that I have, made a lot of effort to put in. Right, so I've dimmed the lights momentarily. Fingers crossed this works. In 3, 2, 1. Hey! Fantastic! Well, you can certainly see what's inside much better. So going from left to right, let's call it my left to make things easier for me, you've got the Curiosity shop there. That's as I showed you before. Moving along to the sort of independent patisserie, you've got pastries in the window there. And what I like is above there's actually a flat. You can see the entrance there, and you've got a couple of old people playing Scrabble. Moving along, you've got this cafe. It looks much larger. It certainly looks much neater and well branded. And finally, along at the far end, you've got this restaurant. It's very classy. It's got the dark green pieces. You can see it's sort of got wines and a very nice flashy menu on the front there. And this is the only one that doesn't have a block of flats above it. It's actually the continued restaurant with people who are dining in the upper room. So that is the entire street, and all that is left then is the pub. Now I could go to a pub and get some inspiration. Yeah, hang on. Okay, so I didn't actually go to the pub just then, but I have been working on the model. I did come down with a cold while I was doing it. That's why my voice is now about 3 semitones deeper than it was before. Now, pubs are quite often the oldest buildings in a village or town. Some of them even outdate the churches. Take that as you will. Now, for me, the older a pub looks, the more I like it. I think there's something I just really enjoy about an old-looking sort of tavern-style establishment. So I've looked at a lot of reference photos and kept that in mind while building it, and the end result is this. I'm really happy with this one. As you can see, I went for the old black and white wooden panels kind of design for the top half, and it's built on this stone base almost. You can see it's got the menu outside. I didn't have one that said menu, but that works quite well. I tried to make it look as if it's well kept. That's why there are these flowers hanging from the wooden beams here, but also slightly overgrown to show its age, like the ivy coming up the side here and on the other side as well. I've been trying to think of a good name for this pub. I think the best one that I've got so far is the Iron Horse, because that's a reference to what they used to call steam trains back in the day. But other than that, I'm not too fussed about getting that straight away. I've got the little insignia there that kind of hints at what the logo could be. So that is really the last building for the layout. All that remains is the scenic decoration, and I've been working on those too. So if I just get those out. Okay, so these are all the elements that I'm going to add to the layout. Let me just move that out of the way for a second. So we'll just start with this one here. This is a simple pub table. It's a relatively simple build that uses quite a few of these brown plates and tiles, but you can basically fit one minifigure on either end there. This tree is relatively simple too. It consisted of threading all of these components in various different ways onto a piece of flex tube, and it just sits quite easily on a plate on its own. Easily removable too, which is always a good feature. This is a simple chain link fence. This will mark the boundary of the pub's grounds onto the street. There will be some tables outside the front, and again it's just a simple chain link fence. Now this is the war memorial. I was hoping for a slightly more obelisk-like top, but unfortunately the pieces that seem to allow me to do that seem to be extremely expensive, so I'm just going to leave it like that for now, but I think it looks good anyway. Now these lights are exactly the same as the ones on the platform, apart from the fact that they are fully black and they have this 1x1 trans clear brick as the lighthouse, as opposed to the minifigure head, but I think that just adds a little bit of variation. Now this little fella is just meant to be the statue that stands on the plinth. There's no particular design that I had in mind. It was basically as many pieces as I could find that were grey, and I don't know, he might have been an old town elder or something. Now these two pieces are very similar in build. One is a bin, of course, and one is a post box. Now this was actually given to me as a present by a friend of mine. Thank you very much, Jack. It's made with a very simple stack of bricks, and the inverted pieces here are just held in place like so. Easy peasy. Now moving on to the slightly bigger elements here. This is a classic phone box that you find all over Britain, and you can even see inside there. You can't stand a minifigure in it and the door doesn't open, but it works functionally and it's the right scale as well. If I went any bigger, it probably wouldn't look right next to a minifigure, in my mind anyway, at least on the outside. And finally we have this. Now long-term viewers of the channel will know exactly why I've added one of these, and short-term viewers will probably know what it is as well. This is of course a police public call box, or just a police box from the 1960s. They were very common, and of course nowadays they are renowned for resembling a certain trans-dimensional time machine, and that is absolutely why I've got one on here. This is actually built to resemble an older police box, and also kind of to resemble the latest version of it in the show as well. And it's also meant to be slightly more to scale with everything else. My other one stands at about so tall, and it just looks completely out of proportion with everything else. I am happy to share instructions for this and the phone box, possibly to low-paying patrons if the demand is there for them. If enough people ask, then I will publish some kind of instructions if that is what people would like. So let me know if you do, and I will find out a way to distribute those. So that is everything there, and it's all moved for some weird reason to the left slightly. There we go, that's better.
So weirdly now, there's nothing else really to add to the layout. All I'm going to have to do is get on and do it. Once it's all assembled, I will have a look at it, and certainly there will be some things that I will want to change or improve. So what you're about to see is by no means going to be the final version, but as far as this series as it stands is, this is pretty much it. Obviously that will depend on how the build turns out and what I do with it in future. I will certainly keep making videos to update you on the progress of the layout and any expansions or additions that I might make that I feel is worth talking about. But let's not worry about that just yet. Let's assemble the layout.
So this is the finished layout as it was originally conceived. It doesn't quite mean that it's finished just yet. There are always things that I would like to develop. As far as installments to this series go, this will probably be the last for a short while. I will probably change things up a bit so that it's less about the process that I go through and more simply about the additions that I have made, me recapping things with the odd time lapse. Just getting rid of a lot of the extra pieces to camera and just sort of showing you the layout and hopefully keeping it nice and keeping it fun. But for now, I would like to say thank you so much for continuing to watch this series. It's been really fun and it's proven really popular, which is wonderful. So I am going to leave you now with some more footage of trains running on the layout, and I hope I will see you soon. Take care.